All right, it's TexAgs Rewind presented by Yeti. Dalton Hughes in today for David Nuno. And on this episode of the Rewind, we've got the Go Hour with Olin Buchanan. We've got TexAgs co-owner and executive editor Billy Liucci talking about God knows what. We literally covered everything and nothing at all. Then recruiting country, Ryan Brauninger, the latest in recruiting, probably a heavy focus on the transfer portal. And we close it out with Houston, Texas sideline analyst John Harris. Start, I guess. We're in a good mood here, and I think a lot of people watching and listening to this show are going to be in a good mood because a certain orange team is no longer playing football this year.
I'd be lying if I said I wasn't rooting for Washington, right? But I'm a little bit different in that Texas doesn't matter to me, right? I'm not going to root for them, don't get me wrong, but it's hard for me to get too excited that Texas lost in the championship playoff while my team lost in the Texas Bowl.
And maybe it's not excited, but I just didn't want to have to watch them again.
Oh, I didn't either. I was rooting for Washington. Yeah. I'll admit it. And by the way, I think as great a coach as Kalen DeBoer is, I think he just showed that he too can get better by learning better how to manage time. He could get a lot better in clock management. I don't know what it is about coaches that don't understand that when there's no time left on the clock, you win. You can win. But that said, they did a great job. Michael Penix was amazing. And by the way, the other team that I wanted to win won, Michigan. So I'm really looking forward to that matchup next week, Michigan and Washington for the national championship.
It will be interesting. And, we talk about all these matchups. We look at, there's the stats from the Rose Bowl on Monday. It's kind of funny. The 1 and 2 seeds won, but the 1 and the 2 seeds, according to Vegas, weren't the favorites in either of these games.
Yeah. Yeah, I see, Vegas, and I get it. But here's what I'm glad about. Now, understand that I really detest Alabama. A big part of it is jealousy. Another big part, or the bigger part of it, is their fans that are even, in my opinion, worse than Texas's. And what if I would have if it had been Texas and Alabama?
Well, Coach Saban was probably caught pretty off guard by that one yesterday. Let's just put it that way. When I say I think, I mean I know. And look, I think that is a home run hire for Texas A&M and Mike Elko. I've seen a lot coming from the Bama side. I think my suggestion to Bama would be to look deeper into what's gone on with their offense in the last few years and kind of say, do they have a Nick Saban? Well, it's hard. I don't want to use those words because Nick Saban is the best coach in history. They don't have a Nick Saban problem. Does their offense once again have a Nick Saban problem that they had prior to, let's be honest, I don't know if it started with Loxley. I don't know if he was there right before Kiffin or if it was the two of them, but before Kiffin and Sark really took the lid off that thing and took it to a whole nother level and took that dynasty to a whole nother level with the way they were playing offense. Now I look at Bama and I go, their O-line has not been good for a few years. Their running backs, the talent in that stable, if you look at it 5-10 years ago versus now, it's not even the same time zone. And the same has happened at tight end and receiver. It's across the board offensively. And now you look at their quarterback room, it's the worst it's been since A&M's been in the SEC. It is the worst it's been since A&M's been in the SEC. The room. What A&M went and did was they went and got a wide receivers coach that when you look at his resume and you don't have sour grapes over there, you look at it and you see who he's coached. You want to talk about development. I see guys like John Mechie. When you look at, this year even, what he did, you look at A&M, with what they did at quarterback, you look what they did when they came in here to A&M, to College Station, to Kyle Field, and the numbers they put up at receiver.
Based on our latest intel, and it's going to take a lot of work and relationship building from Ish Arsteed and Mike Elko and Jay Bateman, but I feel like they've gotten off to a good start there. I just think, Terry's level of comfortability in College Station, the proximity to home. He's going to take visits to potentially Georgia and USC. I just feel like that's not who Terry is, to go to either side of the country and that far away from home. I could be wrong. I mean, it's recruiting. But I just feel like the ties to the state of Texas and the ties to the kids in this class, A&M signing Dalen Evans and then signing Miles Davis, two of his best friends that he's gotten to know throughout this recruiting cycle. I think Dalen go ahead and jumping in the boat went a long way for A&M and a long way for Terry's comfortability in sticking with his commitment and ultimately signing with the Aggies in February. But if you're looking at things and how they're unfolding, I don't know. We'll have to see what happens with Holman Wiggins and if there's anybody that's unsigned that may be interested in hearing from A&M now that Holman Wiggins is here, or if they make a late run at an unsigned player, maybe in state or whatever. But I think the majority of their recruiting time and effort is going to be spent on the portal, which means Terry Bussey can get a lot of focus if he's the only or one of very, very few high school targets remaining.
I guess, and that was my next question. Is it still too early in this closing out the 24 cycle? Are there any new targets, or is it still kind of, wading through, looking through the unsigned and figuring out where you're going?
Yeah, I wouldn't even bring up new names. There's some kids in state that haven't signed that Jason and I like, but with the way it is now, and when they're bringing in over 20 guys out of the portal this week, and we're going to add some names to our list on the site probably later today, but when it's going the way that it is with the portal, like the only time a high school prospect gets real, in my opinion now, is if an offer goes out.
How great has D'Amico been in the room with his guys? Being such a recent former player, has that, you think, been a benefit with everything going on around Houston and him leading the charge there?
Yeah, absolutely, Dalton. It's been fantastic to watch him work. And okay, what's the next challenge? And it's funny, talking to both D'Amico and Nick, we get a chance to interview them each week, and we talk to them, throughout the year as well. But we've asked them often, like, "Oh man, you lost this guy, you lost these guys. What are you going to do?" And they basically just took a stance of, "We'll figure it out." Okay, you've lost a center for the fourth time. What are you going to do? Okay, well, we're going to go to Michael Dieter. And then Dieter's going to get better and better and better each week. All right, you lost Titus Howard at guard. What are you going to do? Well, we're going to put a rookie in there at guard who probably is a better center. But we're going to put Juice Scruggs over there at guard and see what he does. We'll figure it out. That's been their mantra. Instead of like, oh, God, what are we going to do? I don't know how we're going to do this. They just said, we'll figure it out. Do we have to go claim a guy with waivers? Do we have to go sign a guy? Do we have to take a guy off the practice squad? Do we have to kick field goals with our running back? We've done that. They've figured it out this year, and I think that's been a little different than prior years. Not the Cully, Lovey years, because that was just a mess to begin with. But there was a lot of just crying in their milk when, in the Bill O'Brien years, oh, we don't have this guy, we don't have that guy. And they did a decent job of trying to figure it out. But that's really been the mantra of these guys. Hey, let's figure it out. Whatever we're faced with. CJ Stroud concussion, what are we going to do? Well, we're going to take our guy who's inactive every week, Case Keenum, and we're going to start him at Tennessee. And we're going to go beat the Oilers, the fake Oilers, on the last play of the game with a Kyrie Fairbairn field goal from 54 yards in their building, without CJ Stroud, without Nico Collins, without Will Anderson. We're going to go beat the Titans. Like, they're going to figure it out. And I think it's been a really interesting mantra to have. And I think more teams need to have that. We'll find it. I know colleges are a little bit more hamstrung with what they can do during a season, but you also have 85 scholarship players. And so there's got to be kind of that point of, oh, we got a bunch of injuries. You know what? Figure it out.
That'll do it for the Rewind. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, share it with your grandma or your sister-in-law. I don't care. Talk to you later.